Our third question today is we're going to switch gears a little bit. As you know, we met for lunch recently, and you shared with me your new book, Heaven, the Final Destination. Please tell our audience a little bit about that book and how it might help them.
Okay, I'm a Catholic. I have been all my life. I consider myself devout. I go every Sundays. I go to confession. I keep up with that stuff. I was at church yesterday for a couple hours, adoration, etc. Anyway, I'm getting older. I would love to go to heaven. I think that's our general destination for most of us. That's our desire. Now, Catholics believe in purgatory, which other religions don't necessarily consider. But I want to know, how can I get to heaven, David? Straight there, bypass purgatory. That was my desire. So when I started researching, I found it's the same thing that I do. If I say, okay, tell me about what causes cancer? What causes Alzheimer's? You can't ask that question. You have to ask it in a roundabout way. Well, the same thing in the Catholic faith. I go to the magisterium, tradition, history, scripture, Bible, and then you have to almost go into some specifics. What did God promise? What did Jesus promise? What did Mary promise? And when I start looking at those things, I can find promises in there. You do this, you get this reward. Okay, well, why isn't the church teaching me more about that? Because that's my long-term destination. I want to know. Well, my perspective is things have changed over time, where they used to talk about heaven and hell and long sermons. Now it's a homily, and it's more or less focused on something that the bishop in the diocese wants to talk about, or something dealing with the gospels and readings of the day. But if we look at sin, and you have the sin, and traditional way that it was explained to us as little kids, you break a window and you go next door and you ask for mercy, you ask for forgiveness, and the guy says, no problem at all, you're forgiven, I understand, you're kids. Well, when I go to confession, that external punishment due to that sin is forgiven, but there's a temporal permanent punishment, not from God's perspective, but from the sin itself. Now, that is the sin that I have to make up for. That temporal punishment, according to the Catholic faith, is something that has to be taken care of in purgatory in order to enter heaven purified. And so I look at those things that, well, how do I get there? Well, baptism, sacrament wipes all that out. So if I wait till I'm 78 years of age, I get baptized and I die at 78 and a half, I'm pretty good shape. But if I get last rites at 78 years of age, that's a free ticket straight into heaven, because it removes all that temporal punishment. But there's a lot of other things. If we just look at a simple thing, David, if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. So ask and receive, expect. But the other things in the sacraments, there's a brown scapular. I wear this thing. There's certain promises that with that scapular, you have plenary indulgences. There's certain requirements for that to take away the temporal punishment. There are First Fridays, First Saturdays. There's a lot, Seven Sorrows of Mary. There's a lot of things, but I think probably one of the biggest ones is the St. Bridget prayers. There's a 15 prayer combination for a year and a 7 prayer combination for 12 years. And the 7-year compilation is one that specifically God says, you do this for 12 years. And the first thing on the line, it says, no purgatory. Well, I'm at 78 years of age. Well, that's 90. Well, I might as well say it the rest of my life, because I'm, at some point in time. Now, let's say that I'm saying it and I've only said it for 5 years. Well, they have a caveat in there that says your intention was, you're doing it. Okay, you earned it. So anyway, that's what I talk about in my book. And that if you're a devout Catholic and you want to really know a little bit more about how you get your soul into heaven, I would strongly suggest you look at that one.
Sounds fascinating. I think most of us do want to go to heaven for sure.